All right, all right, all right. Good morning, everybody. Here we are on a Wednesday morning. This hasn't happened for a while. So, first of all, I saw all the comments yesterday from miserable people who are very unhappy that we've gone to 3 days a week. And what are you going to do? You know? I mean, I can promise you 3 really great days a week, or you can have 4 crap ones. Which would you prefer? Crap sandwich or amazing gourmet sandwich? Can I tempt you with a little bit of this? But you're going to have it 3 times a week. If you want the crap sandwich, hey, there's radio. There we go. Sorted. Everybody's happy now. Just to let you know, though, you're not actually losing out on anything because the Burning Platform, which we used to do on a Thursday and which continues this week, is going to be on Podcast Party SA. You can sign up for them on the YouTubes, and it will be available tomorrow, as usual, being a Thursday. And we will do this show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So now you can set your alarm or not. Listen to the podcast later if it suits you. If you want to do it live with us, you know what to do. And if you want to be in the comments section, you can join us there now. It's very, very exciting. I'm excited also this morning to welcome to the studio, our new studio, someone who has been in the studio many times before. In fact, the last time we had him on, all we did was talk about conspiracy theories for like a whole 2 hours. And he's fantastic to spend time with, tremendously talented. The guy is not only a singer, an actor, and a teacher, but also a whiz when it comes to like figuring out what the latest things are. He was just telling me about all sorts of AI. His name is Nathan Rowe. Hello, Nathan Rowe.
Good morning, Gareth Cliff.
How the hell are you, dude?
I am amazing.
Well, you look, yeah. He said that he was told by producer James to dress for the wall in black and warm in case.
I was phoned by a man named James, and he said, it's very cold up there on the wall, on the cliff. So dress warmly, wear black. Otherwise, you cast weird shadows on the books.
Yeah, all these books. Do you want to borrow one of those books quickly and look something up?
There is actually one up there that I really want to grab. So, yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk a whole lot of nonsense and have some fun this morning. We were going to drape you in green and then just have your head float in.
I was actually hoping for that.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay, well, sorry, too late for that. But we might do it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So you were telling me about some fascinating stuff earlier. There's an AI that you've discovered generate music. Like, who needs composers anymore? This was always the thing that I was most jealous of in the world, is the ability to write a song. I think I told you that before.
Yeah.
And now it turns out computers can do it. Not a thing.
But you still can't.
I still can't.
Yeah.
I still can't. But I'll lie. I'll use this. So what is this thing called?
So it's called Suno.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's actually flipping amazing technology. I shouldn't have told you about it as a songwriter and musician myself. I kind of shot myself in the foot there.
Yes.
But it's just an amazing AI that can create a song in 5 seconds in any style you like with lyrics, and you can even make an instrumental.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can compose your film score.
So you can have a grand opera.
I mean, if you have an hour-long movie, you could probably create the soundtrack in about 30 minutes.
Screw Hans Zimmer. Who needs him, right?
Yeah, who does need him?
Oh, it's very, very exciting time we live in.
I mean, he's gotten a bit stale in his old age. I feel he's just doing one notes now.
I mean, it's kind of been a lot of movie soundtracks. I don't know about you, but TV and movie soundtracks. Doom.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that cost $200,000?
Yeah.
Really?
Exactly. I'm a John Williams fan. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah, John Williams.
John Williams
let's just go through a few of the brilliant things. He did Star Wars, obviously.
Yeah.
Did E.T.
Jurassic Park. That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
In fact, he's done pretty much everything Spielberg did.
Yeah. He did, what was the one about the sun? Christian Bale and Ben Stiller. Weird collab.
No, I don't remember
Empire
that.
of the Sun.
Oh, okay, yeah. But he's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
phenomenal.
Incredible. And he went and played with an orchestra. I saw him. By the way, today is the 200th anniversary of Beethoven's Ode to Joy.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
Joyful
I know
day.
this because last night while I was falling asleep, my phone went ping and it was somebody who also loves classical music, and they said,
It was Carolyn Stain.
No,
And she said,
it wasn't.
Whispers with Carolyn Stain.
It
And she
wasn't.
whispered something to you. You know, it's Beethoven's Ode to Joy's 200th birthday.
But I remember there was a composer and concert orchestra conductor who came out to South Africa when I was probably in my 20s, and he taught us the words in German.
Oh, wow.
To Beethoven's Ode to Joy. And I remember he taught this whole audience of people. There were like 500 people in the audience, and he taught us all how it goes, because it's one of the most famous pieces of music ever.
Yeah.
You know, it's the da 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 da. Ode to Joy. Freude goes, Freude, schöne Gitterfunken, Tochter aus Elysium. Wir betreten feuertrunken himmlische dein Heiligtum. Deiner Zauber bin den Feder, Fuß der Mode streng geteilt. Aller Menschen wir den Brüder für dein sanfter Fliegel feilt.
Schmetterling.
Good.
Beautiful.
But it's magnificent. So the words, and it's been used in so many different places. The words are actually, that last line is, all men become brothers when they work in harmony, when they live in peace. So it's been used as the anthem for, I think, the European Union, which of course is an unmitigated disaster, but the song remains brilliant. And many people have said it's the most perfect composition of all time, since we're talking about compositions. So it's ironically, we should be celebrating its 200th birthday on the day we started talking nonsense about composition.
I'm so impressed that you remember a song in German some guy taught you in your 20s.
Yes.
I mean, I can only teach an audience the lyrics to Tequila. Pretty much.
I saw you performing just the other day, actually, and you do this excellent. I never get sick of it. Is seeing you play around with those Disney songs.
Oh yeah,
I know you're probably tired of it, but it is so good. Like you do all the voices, you know how to play it all on the ukulele or on the guitar. It's just really good.
Yeah, I live for Disney. Well, Golden Age Disney.
Yes, not current woke Disney.
Yeah, woke Disney is it's battling a bit.
But pederasty at the moment, if you ask me.
You know, so there was one called Elemental that came out.
Yeah.
And actually a brilliant film, but the marketing was so woke, it bombed at the box office. So it was so weird, because I watched the movie and I was like, this actually should have done well. And it was completely their marketing that made it fail. Which is, it's such an odd thing.
But you know what? I'm afraid like people in the entertainment industry have just lost their minds.
Yeah.
They're all so desperate to, it's almost like everything is DEI. Everything. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Well, that's the point, right? And you and I were talking about another kind of AI earlier this morning, Sora, which is the one that can generate video. And Sora eventually will mean that we don't need Hollywood.
Yeah.
So that's also great. I mean, ultimately, and these are the creative arts that we're talking about. These are not, accounting software packages. These are things that we've always thought, well, that's the domain of humans. Only humans can create. Well, it turns out not so much.
Yeah. And they're actually way better at it than
us.
But you know what the thing is that AI really has a voice. I don't know if you noticed this with ChatGPT. Like I can see advertising campaigns that are ChatGPT. You can feel the voice of ChatGPT.
And also when like some pretty low functioning friend of yours, and we all have like there's some people it's fun to drink with, but you don't sit and talk to them about the Ode to Joy.
Right.
Those people, you'll see them and they'll say to you, I've just put together this incredible business proposal for this and that. And you'll think, wow, okay. Then you get it and you're like, oh, okay, I see. Yeah. Basically, this guy typed in, I need a job to like but open AI or whatever. Comes back with like a 20-page report, which is all just nonsense.
Don't you think that's going to be the next skill, though, is actually like seeing people's prompts?
There
you
are
can
already
see the prompt.
So there are already reverse AI engines, which teachers and lecturers use, because obviously the first place that would have been used was at learning institutions, because these guys are just crooks.
Totally.
And also, I mean, a degree is a crook anyway. I don't care who knows it, because I think it's a complete waste of time. There are some degrees which are not, like, medicine, where you actually have to do practical stuff and save lives. Engineering, that's also important, build bridges and so on.
I thought medicine, you just had to learn how to write the names
The
of
prescription.
what are they called? Antibiotics on a little paper.
Yeah, for some
then
doctors, that's pretty much
That's
it.
all I've ever received from a doctor, to be honest.
Yeah, well, then you're lucky because I
Mm.
mean, you could have had like really, really important open heart surgery or something. It's interesting to me though that these guys have already. It took AI was just a fledgling, and already a bunch of university students and high school students had figured out this is how I can get my essay done super quickly. I mean, don't get me wrong. If it were me, I would have also done it. I think cheating is only cheating if you get caught. This is bad advice for the kids. So if you're a child, stop listening and watching now, because this is going to be the worst advice you ever hear. But if you're a parent or you're an adult or you don't give a shit, I mean, let's all face it. If you can find a way to do something quicker. I was talking to a friend of mine on Monday night. We went out for dinner. By the way, I had something called bluefin tuna.
I've heard of it.
It apparently, have you got that picture, James? I sent you a picture of it. So sashimi.
Different to the no-name brand tin.
It's not in a tin.
Oh, okay.
They
That's blue
delivered apparently to this restaurant, and we were checking it out. This friend of mine is doing this project with these guys, and he said, and he's in town. He usually lives in PE. He's in town for a little bit because his wife has buggered up her foot. But there it is. He said to me, "Come and test this menu with me." So I thought, please, man, I'll go because I want to see him. Anyway, we arrived there. That is how they serve it.
Sure.
That is bluefin tuna, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently,
that's salmon on the left, right?
Apparently, yeah, that's salmon on the left. That stuff. Apparently, the fish that they brought in from Japan
was the last one.
It's like R500,000 rand.
Cheapest. So how much was that little bite?
Just the fish. I don't know, because we were just testing, right? So we didn't get charged, but it's probably a fortune.
My
anyway,
goodness.
Pretty good, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm more of a yellowfin tuna guy myself.
You're more the tin.
Yeah,
Mr. Stone up to
more the tin. Yeah.
So anyway, that was going on, and basically we got talking about cheating, and he was saying his business has just started flying. It's not cheating, but he's learned processes. He basically has a bunch of spreadsheets and a bunch of organograms, and he puts information in. There's like a form, and then the form turns it into a series of meetings for all of his staff. There are monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, annual meetings. There are all kinds of decks that are generated by this. His team report to him X number of days at a time. He puts in new ideas. If there's a hiring that needs to be done, these forms can figure out what sort of person you need. It's essentially, it's business cheating.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really works. He said they are doing better than they've ever done. Process. And a lot of that stuff, we've just got to admit as humans, we're not that good at. Because we always like a little bit of nuance, a little bit of change, a slight bit of randomness here or there. And machines and mathematics don't like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So if you want to succeed, there is a small amount of cheating that is required.
Yeah. So I work for Yellow Seed Consulting, which is
I know the Yellow, they're very
talent
good
management company.
Yes.
And one of the things we've done is we've automated a recruitment process for companies, and it's so amazing because it interviews the candidates over a video. You can have a video session with them, and then it does all their assessments for them. So you get all the data, and you can compare them to all the other the candidates. So it actually like streamlines the whole process so that you can just find that unicorn that you're looking for.
Yeah. And do you think it'll identify talent?
Yeah,
it will.
It does
better than humans do.
Much better.
So then even that job where I was
You've seen humans choose humans.
Yeah, when I was judging that TV show, and I was like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
Okay,
idols. That's a great
idols. So Carol Jean in the comments wants you to say hi, then she knows this is live.
Hi, Carol Jean.
There we go.
How do you know we're live? Penis.
That's enough. The new schedule was announced at the very end of the show on Monday. Welcome to the rest of your life. And that's from the Real Network. So get up to it. Get up to date. You can also turn on your post notifications. You can subscribe. You can get involved in our YouTube channel, and you'll get all the important information as and when it happens. You don't need to be surprised. And Eska says, what a nice surprise on a Wednesday. Made my day. Wow.
Brilliant.
I don't think she said it like that. I think she said, made my day. Wow. Well, I can hope so.
You made my day.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, who's
There
that
we go.
joyful at 5 o'clock in the
I
morning?
don't know. I'm not acclimatizing to this new 3-day per week routine. I'm sorry that you have to be here for the morning where my audience and I have an argument.
What is this
about-
3-day thing that you tell
So
me?
no,
You're only working 3 days a week.
So we did 4 days a week up to last week. And then we decided that 2 of the shows have to come out.
It's basically a show circumcision.
It is. It's a show circumcision. That's what we've done.
Nip the tip.
We've tidied it all up. That's what we've done. I don't think it's a bad thing. I like these 3 days a week. Oh, good. Jen likes it.
Right.
It makes Gareth's show more special because Gareth's in a better mood.
Quality,
What
not
was I,
quantity.
extra grumpy or something? Sure. I thought I've been grumpy since the very beginning. I've been grumpy for a long time.
You have.
I'm consistently grumpy. That's what makes it.
And you get perceptively more grumpy in an election year.
It's funny, you know, I was talking to Leanne on Monday about this. I'm like, I'm pretty much electioned out. So we were meant to interview Mkhonto Wesizwe today because we're talking to all the political parties on the Burning Platform. And there was a pre-recording that was set for, I think, 11 o'clock this morning or something. So the guy from MK, just like the ANC last week, this should tell you again, like when you choose who to vote for the parties who actually don't cancel on the day before. That would be a good start, right? So I'm telling you because you deserve to know the truth. The parties who've let us down are the ANC and Mkhonto Wesizwe so far.
So
the rest of them have sent not only the people that they promised would come, but their best people. They sent the leaders of each of those parties. So to their credit, I would rather have any of the others than those 2 at this stage. However, don't worry, there will be a Burning Platform tomorrow. As usual, at 7 o'clock, it will premiere, but we are doing a special brand new version of that too. So there's a lot of exciting changes in the air.
Mkhonto Wesizwe, is that MK?
MK.
I thought that stood for Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah. Finish him.
Yeah.
It's kind of been like that in the party, though, because they've got a guy called Jabulani who was in charge, who's been fired.
Which means
They
happiness.
say Jacob Zuma's taken over the party. Although I think it was always built around him. So I don't know what kind
His
of
faces on the
excuse that is.
posters.
Exactly. And if there are posters, have you seen posters? MK posters?
I've seen 1 or 2. Yeah, it's just under the big.
Where did you see
We
them?
can do more crime together.
Oh, we
posters.
can do more crime together.
Yeah.
Is that what it says?
No, that's the other, the yellow party.
That's great.
But someone went around and actually covered up the crime with the black strip. They blacked it out.
Oh, is that what it is?
Very CIA. We're getting
Very
into
good.
conspiracy theories already. Sure.
Here's an interesting thing. Your fault, G. You should have known they would cancel. Hey, listen. Dory and James, who produced the show, have been trying to get us the very best people so that you can hear from the horse's mouth what's going on. People who can sit down here and answer any question. And everyone sent us really good people except those 2 parties. You know, the IFP didn't send us their leader either, but they sent a very good guy in who I think did an extremely good job. So at this point, it's clear to me that I can vote for pretty much anyone except MK or the ANC. That's kind of how I'm feeling.
Nice.
Yes, for God's sake, bring me here's producer James sneaking onto the set. Look at him running in front of the cameras. You blow my fucking nose. This is a real show. I mean, we talk about it, the real network, so you get everything. Hooray! A little bit of this.
Please blow into the mic.
Isn't that exciting?
That is real.
Very good.
I could feel that.
All right.
It
So
was a fine spray.
thank you so much. That's a bit of COVID, maybe.
Yeah,
who knows? Who
little.
cares?
It's going around.
Okay. So a couple of things I wanted to ask you about, because the last time we caught up was ages ago. So you were recently nominated for a Naledi Award. Are you one of those people who cares about awards?
I don't really, but they're nice.
No, sure. But you get so you get.
I don't go for them. I'm not
right.
I'm not trying to get an award.
So in the advertising world, for example, everyone's award obsessed.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but in the arts, there are 2 kinds of people. You get the people who really don't give a shit about the awards. Even when they get them, they couldn't be bothered to go and collect them. Right. Then you get the ones who are like super into it.
Yeah.
And they put a big post up on social media, and they put it at pride of place as you walk into their house, or
I did
more
put a
likely
post up, but,
more likely in the arts into their skokok, you know.
container.
Yeah, they're shipping container in their grandparents'
Yeah.
back garden in Rosettenville.
Samro paid for that container.
So you get those two kinds of people, and they are very different. Obviously, the awards shows are peopled by and attended by the latter category rather than the former.
Well, if you hear what I'm nominated for,
What is
it's
it?
quite ridiculous. So I'm nominated for Best Supporting Actor in a one-woman show.
Then you don't even exist.
How cool is that?
You don't even exist if you're in a one-woman show.
Yeah. And
What
I
was this
wasn't the
for?
woman.
What was this?
So I did a show called Actress. It wasn't technically a one-woman show because I was there. And I literally had to pass her coffee mugs and
That's all you
things
did?
like that. Yeah, pretty much.
And you got
But
best
I
supporting
was
actor.
that good, Gareth. I mean, not anyone can pass someone a coffee mug and
That's
win an
a
award.
whole
Well,
heap of bullshit. Sorry.
I'm thinking of changing my name to Nominathan, actually, because I never win, but I'm often nominated.
Oh, God. All right. Someone says here there was a human that developed a programmer that makes the computer check through all of the info so that it can take the results that works out an average. Then it takes the best one for your task. Well, I mean, I found out about 3 new things this morning. So obviously everyone knows Midjourney.
Yeah.
Suno is the one that you told us about that can write songs. Then there's Revoicer,
Yeah.
which is, it takes what you said, a 15-second sample?
Yeah. 15-second sample of your voice. And
you just have to talk to it for 15 seconds and then it can generate your voice. So now I'm thinking, don't worry about this 3-day-a-week thing, everybody. We'll do 8 days a week. I'll just program some AI and then you wouldn't know the difference.
You can. And
Except
you can
AI
actually,
won't suddenly blow its nose in the
there's
middle
another
of the
one
show.
called Synthesia that allows you to use your likeness as well.
Now that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because
I'm surprised these political guys haven't used it for their campaigns.
well,
it's clear they're too lazy to come to interviews and things like that.
They could, right? Funnily enough, you say lazy enough to come to the interviews. So I heard that Panyaza Lesufi wasn't here last week. He was meant to come from the ANC. He wasn't here last week because he went to a football match the night before.
Look, I mean, those are expensive.
Yeah, but
maybe he had the tickets before.
that's where his priority is not to address people in the audience who are part of the nation,
but don't you
citizens of this country who may vote, and because we have an audience who are pretty influential, you'd think he'd want to talk to them. These are people who,
But don't you think the whole world is a little bit more focused on football than what's going on in the world?
Well, it's a distraction.
Yeah, and that's why sport was created.
Yeah,
but I mean, look at 2010. We got roads built.
Yeah, because of sport. That's the only time that I can really think of in my life that sport did me any serious service.
Yeah. So it's quite amazing, though, that like most people's brain is thinking about billionaires kicking around a rubber ball as opposed to starving children and,
right,
abused women.
Didn't Lesufi spend 431 million to decontaminate the stadium before attending? I don't know about that, but he has wasted a lot of money in other stupid places.
He did have a tin of doom with him.
Yeah. Remember when people were spraying doom into their mouths at that one church?
Yeah.
And I think someone had to go to hospital because of this.
Probably. Their immune systems are probably through the roof, though.
Cockroaches don't come near them. That's about right.
Oh, I wanted to tell you, while you were on about AI again, to that guy's comment, one of my best things was, I don't know if you know this, ChatGPT, if you ask it to make references in a document, it makes them up. So it'll say Alan Ford, 2009. It said that. So that's how they actually got called out initially before there were the fact checkers.
Wow.
People were submitting things, and the lecturers who actually knew what the topic was about was going, who are these people that are being referenced? So yeah, just interesting.
I mean, we fortunately, I suppose South Africa's at the back end of this, but if you were a very famous Hollywood actor or actress or singer or whatever, and they used your likeness, I think you probably could sue, but it's going to be difficult to prove anything.
Yeah.
Because who do you hold responsible for this? It's like it's a machine, right?
Yeah.
So if they put like a fake version of Tom Cruise in a commercial for some shitty brand in Indonesia.
Hey, well, Checkers just did that, hey?
Well,
Well, his lookalike.
Yeah, that, by the way, is very clever ad
Yeah.
campaign. I thought that was actually quite smart. But I wonder how they got past that as well.
Yeah, well, it wasn't him.
Yeah, but if Tom saw it, do you think he'd be happy with it?
Yeah, well, I don't know. He might.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe he thought he did do it.
I think he'll probably go, no, I didn't get paid for it. I'm not happy. That's how these things usually work. All right. Here's an interesting thing. No, that guy didn't have enough faith. Who's that? We're talking about the Doom guy,
right?
The sport guy.
There was another pastor, you'll enjoy this, that would sit on his congregation's faces and fart into their face, but he didn't call it a fart. He called it like
a blessing,
or something ridiculous.
Listen, if you are allowing yourself to be humiliated,
you deserve it. Yeah, 100%.
Then I'm not there to protect you. No one should.
Yeah.
If your pastor is so disrespectful that they would fart in your face and you'd be happy with it, I hope your heaven is better than that. That's all I can say. All right.
Yeah, so nothing ever fell off the floor.
I didn't know this about you, but you're very into this Enneagram thing. I've got a friend and she's been doing these for years and she swears by them.
Yeah.
In fact,
it sounds like a drug the way you're saying it.
No. There are companies that hire her to do everyone's Enneagram.
Yeah.
So what it is it's this. It may be based in very ancient skills, numerology. It may have a little bit of woo-woo, medicine, magic. Who knows? But essentially, it's about these 9 numbers.
Yeah.
And you are one of the 9 numbers.
Correct.
And that tells you a whole lot about what you should be doing in the world, where you are moving forward and positive and integrating, and where you're moving backwards and disintegrating. And I mean, it's a fascinating thing to do. And people love nothing more than to hear about and talk about themselves. So this is something that I think everybody gets into at some point, whether it's astrology, numerology, the Enneagram, personality profiling. People love to hear about themselves. So there's nothing more interesting to someone than if you sit down with them and you go, let's talk about you. That's always the best way to get their attention.
You know what I love about Enneagram, Gareth, is that it's like it shows you your default setting. So
do you think first of all, let's just get this out of the way.
I don't know if I would compare it to astrology.
Okay, but then, so you're saying it may have some actual practical application.
Yeah, it's a psychological tool. Yeah, no, definitely. It's
because you give certain inputs to questions, and then it works out based on those answers where you fit.
So basically, it's I don't know if you know much about the neuroscience of it, but there's sort of 3 centers to your brain. There's your limbic system and your brainstem and your neocortex. And based on which part of your brain responds to whatever you're dealing with, sort of puts you into a category. So it gets fairly complicated if you go down the rabbit hole.
So you think that there is a basis in science for this?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right. No, I'm not being cynical for the sake of it. I just think there are probably people listening to us now going, "Oh, it sounds like bullshit straight away." People who've never done it, and people who have done it and didn't get the answers they wanted.
Yeah, I'm not the conspiracy theorist you once knew. I actually spent an hour the other day correcting people to tell them that the moon landing did happen.
All right, so I believe you. Let's operate from here on the proposition that this is real.
Right.
Let's talk about. No, I mean I'm not going to be cynical. Then let's talk about it and how it might work and how it's maybe worked for you and how you see it at work. Because there are people who think it's great. Jen says the Enneagram's amazing. So, what is your number?
And if Jen says I'm a 9,
you're a 9,
which doesn't mean that I'm
better than anyone else.
Or
what is a 9?
A 9 is the peacemaker.
Okay.
So basically, I hate conflict, which I imagine yours would not be that.
No, I'm not a 9.
You quite enjoy the
I'll tell you what I am just now, but we'll get to that. Jen is already guessing. She says I'm a 5. All right. So some people are very into this. What I understand is that wherever you are on this thing, there are certain attributes to your personality which can be made useful or that you should be aware of because they're probably quite detrimental, negative, or could be the kind of thing that moves you in the wrong direction, makes you less motivated, less useful to the people around you.
Yeah.
Perhaps creates conflict in the workplace, which you don't need. So if you know where you are on this thing, it's like, and a good personality profiler will tell you the same thing. You're either a driver or a communicator or an analyst or a planner. The Enneagram is just a version of this.
Well, the thing that's, for me, separates Enneagram from a lot of the personality tests, like the Briggs-Myers and Myers-Briggs and things like that, is that it actually gives you like a why. Because a lot of the personality tests go, oh, you are like this. But they don't have a
so
story.
Why are you a peacemaker?
Why? Sure.
No, I'm interested in this.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not fucking with you. I promise.
So basically, how it works is, you're around the circle of the Enneagram. You got your 9 numbers, and then you've got your growth number that you move towards when you're in a good space. So what happened was, you're actually born as your growth number. And then because you receive, they call it a wounding message. So something in your childhood, in your nurturing, you receive this message that makes you act in a certain way. So my message was that I needed to keep the peace, and that my voice was not.
You're a middle child?
I'm a middle child.
There we go.
Yeah. So it often
See,
happens.
I can play this game.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, no, because the middle child is always like trying to figure out where they fit into things, and they're trying to keep everything in balance. And,
yeah, exactly. Sense. So it's that's why I became the peacemaker. But I mean, like if you take an 8, for example, they're usually someone that goes through so much trauma, and they need to protect themselves, so they become protective, and that's why they are not afraid of conflict, because they're always protecting themselves. It's their default. So my default is to go like, oh no, that's okay. You can have my chair. Yeah, no, please.
And then
no,
what's your growth or integrating number?
3. So the achiever. So
okay.
So the 9 is a bit of a slothful person. It's hard for me to self-motivate.
Oh, like getting out of bed this morning. We had to call you 8 times.
Yeah, sorry, I know. I don't answer my phone. Yeah, technology, hey.
Okay.
So if I move towards 3, I take on the aspects of achieving and seeing my role in the world, and sort of making a stand and saying to everyone, this is who I am.
Getting more.
So
shit
I feel
done.
I have done that in my life a little bit, like
you've achieved
in acting and singing and stuff like that. Yeah. So I have pushed myself. So it's good. So it just teaches you to like how to become a better person of yourself. There's also levels. So it'll show you like a really low
By the
level
way,
9.
if anybody who's listening to this is wondering, like, you can actually do these online as well.
You can, yeah.
And usually they're pretty good. I mean, better ones and worse ones. And I know there are lots of people who are into this like you are, who are listening to my summaries of things and going, no, that's not true. Look, I'm not an expert, but the little bit of exposure I've had to this, I found it interesting. And I do think people love figuring out things about themselves. So if this works for you, awesome. Go with it.
I take it you've done the test.
I am indeed. What's your downward spiral?
My downward spiral is a 6.
Which is?
So it's the loyalist, the 6, and they are security conscious. So I become quite suspicious of people, things like that, when I'm stressed.
Okay, so let's just go through them quickly, because I think this is quite fun. So what is 1?
So 1 is the reformer.
Okay.
So they are the sort of perfectionists that try and make the world a better place. And you can almost, as you say that, you can almost see the good and bad in that, right?
Sure.
So someone who wants to make the world a better place can be amazing. They can also be a judgmental person.
Got you. Number 2?
Number 2 is the helper. So they're the people that need to be loved. So they'll serve people. They're like your servers. They want to help everyone. But they're very the sort of blind spot there.
They can be abused.
They can be a bit needy as well, and they can be a bit possessive of people.
Okay,
like that.
3s?
3s are the achievers. So they're the people that get sort of, they only feel their value when they're achieving, like when they're winning. So like the person who comes second, their father didn't hug them.
Right.
That's sort of the achievers. So they only get that love and affection when they're winning. Yeah.
And then 4s?
4s are the individualists. I always imagine those to be a little bit gothic. They're like the dark, poetic.
They don't really
people.
care about fitting in.
No, yeah, they love standing out, love being different. don't like it when they get compared to other people.
And what's the downside of them?
The downside is that they can be very melancholic.
Get
Very,
into their feels.
yeah, and just sort of put that on other people.
5.
Yeah, so 5, the investigator or the sage.
Look at you. You know all of this stuff. I'm so
yeah.
impressed. Okay, so what is the sage?
The sage is the person, they're very cerebral, so very in their head, they withdraw a lot.
Mhm.
So that's sort of their negative thing, is they withdraw from society because they get overwhelmed by lots of people and lots of energy. And they're the kind of people that they want to be capable, so they do a lot of research into everything. They're
Right.
very interesting people because they know a lot about a lot of things. So,
What about a 6? You mentioned them earlier. You said that they're
6 is the loyal skeptic.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're the 6 is the person who's very security conscious. They're the person that'll, if you bring them a business plan, they'll go, oh, that's I see some pitfalls for you.
Straight away.
Yeah, and they can be seen as quite negative, but they're actually just assessing. They're the cop going into a room and like checking all the corners.
7.
7 is the enthusiast.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, they're wonderful. The only
7 sounds great.
Yeah, they love living life. They want to know what's next. They want to keep moving. They're very scatterbrained.
What's the bad part?
The bad part is that they can be super indulgent, overindulgent. So they can become addicted to things. They also suppress their feelings. So each number fits into a triad, right?
Right.
And there's three numbers in each triad. So one of the numbers will suppress an emotion. The other one will internalize, and the other one will externalize.
This is very, I don't know the origins of this, but there isn't a better one or a worse one. Everybody is one of these by default, and you just have to deal with it.
Yeah. So, everyone has all the numbers in them.
Right.
What sort of happens is you gravitate towards one number.
Okay, but we haven't finished those. So 8.
8 is the challenger. So that's sort of the one that likes conflict, but they like protecting people, like protecting themselves, and they like protecting other people. So they'll stand up for people, and shout at them and beat people up to protect other people. So they can be quite scary for someone like me, like a 9, because someone who loves conflict not loves conflict, but is absolutely fine with conflict. I mean, you don't passively aggressively ask an 8 to turn the aircon down. You don't go, whew, it's a little chilly in here. You just say to an 8, look, dude, turn the aircon down.
Right.
And they prefer that. Yeah.
All right. Well, you can do these tests online. I think, as I recall, I'm an 8. So surprise.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting that people use these at work, in relationships. There's a dating app, apparently. Someone said here in the comments, there's actually a dating app that uses the Enneagram to match people up.
Amazing.
So obviously there's certain people who, they are drawn to another kind of number more than anything else.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think this is interesting.
Yeah,
you can get very deep into it. I saw that there are courses that people go on that are like 5 days where you learn about the different numbers and your own pattern.
But what's so amazing about it in the corporate world is like using it to like bring teams together. So for example, if we take Flex and James and Gareth, right?
Right.
And if you know each other's Enneagram and what that means, it just makes it easier to get along as a team because you understand where the person's coming from.
You don't take it personally when someone has a bad day, or if they're grumpy, or if they're quiet.
Yeah.
You don't think, oh, it's me.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
people always do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not only about yourself.
No, okay,
right? It's really about actually getting to know other people better and like really getting to know people, which is like, I think, a leadership skill that's completely lacking in a lot of companies is that people don't realize that people are people and they have whole stories. There's actually a beautiful word called sonder. Do you know the word sonder?
No.
Sonder is the realization that a person walking past you in the street has a completely full life with dreams and hopes and family members.
It's the opposite of saying, oh, that's an NPC.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So there aren't any
Sonder
NPCs.
is the antonym to NPC.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Rebellious Ruth asks in the comments, aren't we all a little bit of each at times? Yeah, I think we are, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. But so because of what happens in your childhood, you usually just gravitate to one. You know how your brain wires your two neurons together, and that's the path you will always go to, that neural pathway. So that's sort of what happens here. Is it's a default setting.
I think that's fascinating. I mean, I've done a lot of these personality profiles over the years. I've done Enneagrams and all the other stuff too. And then the wacky stuff for fun as well, like the numerology.
What Harry Potter house are you in?
No, I haven't done what Harry Potter house I'm in. Have
Slytherin.
you? What are you?
I'm Slytherin, 100%.
That's bad, right?
No.
No?
Slytherin.
Isn't that where all the shit kids are?
Well, in the movies and books, yes, but...
Oh, so then the person who invented it said they were shit, but you're going to say, no, they're not really.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I was proud of it.
Weren't all the Nazis Slytherin? All right, I wanted you to see this quickly. You're in Slytherin, so this will be easy for you. Here is a riddle. There are 3 kids and 2 apples. Okay, and the 3 kids and the 2 apples, and there's 1 knife. And with 1 movement of the knife, you can share out the apples properly and fairly. What is the correct thing to do?
With 1 movement of the knife.
1 movement of the knife. You can't cut twice.
Is this a trick question? Like I should slit the throats of the children?
So they're the 3 kids. There's the knife. They're the 2 apples. How do you share out the apples equally? 1 movement of the knife.
1 movement. So
yes, one stroke
that's
of the knife.
Throwing me off. Can you cut 2/3 out of both apples in 1 swoop of the knife?
Well,
that's what I would go with.
Technically, I suppose you could, although it wouldn't really be fair. So the answer is...
then each kid gets 2/3.
The answer is you stack the apples on top of each other and you cut 2/3 of the way.
Right.
Then person A gets 2/3 of the first apple, person B gets 2/3 of the other apple, other person gets the 2 pieces that you've cut off there, which means they get essentially their share of the apple.
It's very early for this guy.
The difficulty, I mean, the real answer, and it came to me straight away, so I must be a psychopath.
Chop all 3.
No, you stab the 1 person and you have 2 apples for 2 people.
But then there's you to worry about. And let's face it, like you said, everyone's focused on themselves.
So just take both apples. Just stab both people.
Try cut as many throats as you can in 1 foul swoop.
One motion.
Yeah. This Game of Thrones. That's those amazing. Children.
Yeah, just do that.
Yeah.
We used the Enneagram, says Color, to guide interaction between vastly different personality types in a team, like salesmen, engineers, and accountants. I assume you had a good result from this. You know,
we'll wait.
Yeah, I would be upset, Color, if you came back to us and said it was a total disaster. Everyone murdered each other with knives and apples. It would have been horrific. Listen, I don't know whether it's widespread in this country, but I do think that there are companies that do this.
Mm.
And if they keep doing it, then it must deliver results.
It does, yeah.
Because companies don't like not having the results.
True.
And certainly management aren't going to keep paying for you to go on little breakaways to do your Enneagrams if they don't delivering results.
Yeah. If it doesn't have ROI, it's
damn right.
Doing.
Those are the 3 letters. Return on investment. Another shockingly shit thing that everyone's talking about all the time. Okay, now apparently you're also writing a vampire musical.
Correct. Yes, I did.
There's a market for vampire musicals.
Not really, actually.
You're going to start one.
So we actually sat with a dramaturg. So my wife and I are writing it together. She's a writer and I'm a musician, so I'm writing the music. She's writing the script. And we sat with a dramaturg who told us, you know, that vampire musicals or vampire plays are the least watched things on Broadway.
So you were like, well,
there's never been a successful one. Yeah. I want to prove them wrong.
Do you know where the whole vampire thing comes from, though?
I know they buried a body and then there was a rumor that it...
No, so there are two places. I mean, the first place it comes from is in Bulgaria, Transylvania. There were always these village peasants who believed that, you know, the evil lord in the castle rises from the dead and
Yeah.
So it was like stupid peasants who will believe anything. It's a big problem in the world
But
still
then,
today. But then Lord Byron made it popular because he kind of he made them these awesome aristocrats who live these glamorous lives, but then in order to live longer and to secretly prosper without anyone knowing, they would drink the blood of beautiful women and all this kind of thing. And
so
of
like
course,
the Harvey Weinsteins and
correct.
things like
So
that.
somewhere around the sort of mid 1800s, this was kind of all the rage.
Yeah.
And that empire became, I mean, it was a word that came from Transylvania. And there was obviously that legend before of Vlad the Impaler, who in the, I think, 1400s fought the Ottomans and managed to do quite well. And they say that, half of his power came from the fact that he was, drinking the blood of virgins or whatever. But he was a pretty mean guy. What he actually did.
He probably did.
The name the Impaler comes from him putting people on top of sharp sticks, asshole first.
Sure.
His enemies. He
That's
created
probably
whole
the least
forests.
comfortable way to sit on a stick.
Forests of his enemies as like human trees.
Yeah.
Effectively. Not a great way to die. Not a great way to look. Kind of humiliating. I would say worse even than the pastor farting in your face story that we had earlier.
Are you familiar with Nero?
Yes, the Emperor of Rome.
I mean, he did some horrific things. Didn't he cover people in tar and then set them on fire to light his garden?
No, that okay. So
is that a bit of
so
sensationalism?
Nero was the last of the Julia Claudian emperors, and there were a lot of things that he didn't have a good relationship with his mother, for starters.
He played violin.
He supposedly played the fiddle while Rome burned, although
or he just fiddled while Rome burned.
He wasn't even in Rome supposedly at the time that the fire broke out. He did rush to Rome and help put it out. Personally got involved in putting out the fire, not just directing other people to do it. And I think he's got a bad rap in history. There are a lot of people in history who their successors came along and it suited them to make them look much worse.
Right.
So I don't know that all of that is true about Nero, but there are worse emperors than Nero. There are people like Caligula and Elagabalus.
Yeah, but that's just their names.
Really bad. No, I mean like these were really, really awful people.
We should bring that baby name back though.
Caligula.
Yeah. Oh, look at little Caligula.
You know what it means?
No.
Little shoes.
Little shoes. I was going to say fancy handwriting, but
Caligula.
Yeah.
No, you're thinking calligraphy.
You have well, I thought it was a root word.
No. No, little shoes. In fact, little sandals.
Yeah, so small shoes to fill, basically.
Yeah.
Sure.
But anyway, those guys are truly awful.
Yeah.
Really. Like you look up Elagabalus, Caligula made his horse a senator.
He was South African.
He would cross-dress. He supposedly stabbed his wife to death.
So, for her dress?
No, just didn't like her anymore. He was the emperor. You could do what you want as Roman emperor.
Sounding more like an American. Sure.
Yeah, pretty horrific.
Cross-dressing wife stabber.
Elagabalus, they say, was a total nutcase. So he would cover people in honey and let the bees sting them to death and that kind of thing.
Sure.
Really, really nice people.
Although I'm pretty sure in America, I don't know about Europe, the bees are. I mean, I know we have our African bee that everyone's afraid of, like overseas. But I watched this Texas bee lady that rehomes bees. I don't know if you've seen it on Instagram. And she's like, so I scooped the bees out with my hand, and she
did. Yeah, she did it.
She just does that every day. She goes and scoops bees out of. She takes the queen,
and they're okay with that.
Yeah, nothing. I'm like, you try that in South Africa. Is she wearing
a bee outfit?
Nothing. With her bare hands, she just scoops them out. I was so confused by that. I'm like, that's not the bees we know.
No, our bees would sting the hell out of you.
You don't even have to do anything.
Although a friend of mine who is from Texas was here 2 weekends ago, and he said to me, we have no idea. Mosquitoes there. He says, first of all, their mosquitoes are like twice the size. Second of all, they are fast.
Yeah.
So
that's why everybody has guns. We shoot those out of the sky.
So apparently these things are super fast, and they are vicious. They will sting you repeatedly just for fun, not even for the blood.
Wow.
So I would rather have our bees and our mosquitoes than their mosquitoes. And
So
their
they don't
bees.
have malaria there?
No.
Interesting.
No, it's a very African thing.
But is that something
Well,
that the
it's now.
mosquito just carries, or is it the actual mosquito?
No,
that-
it's a bacterium,
bacterium.
inside of the mosquitoes.
So if
system.
that got over there,
Yeah, it would be terrible, wouldn't it?
Sure.
Are you plotting bioweapons?
Well, I'm just
secretly on
thinking
the
there's
show?
a lot of anti-vaxxers there.
Listen,
Russia could take America.
There are lots of animals that I would not like from other places, and they
Australia.
think we have problems. And we've got lions and crocodiles and those kinds of things. Hippos kill more people than everything except the mosquito.
Yeah.
So technically, we have the number 1 and number 2 spot on like shitty animals.
Yeah.
But there are other animals in South America, Australia. You wouldn't want those. And the other day we were talking about bears, and bears are like really quite terrifying. You remember that Revenant movie with Leo DiCaprio? I still haven't got over that.
The one that he won the Oscar for, but it was not his best movie.
I don't know. I mean, I thought that was
best?
well. Did you watch it? It was like traumatic.
I haven't watched it actually.
Jesus.
I know that he's attacked by a bear, but that's
You
I'm
attack
like,
repeatedly.
oh, just,
It's like
is that the whole movie?
It's
Just
like
him being tortured
it's like
by
an
a bear?
assault. It's the most appalling animal attack movie I've ever seen.
Okay.
In all the other animal attack movies, the guy just dies. This one, and it comes back. It's horrific. I mean, just when you think it's over, it carries on.
Did he have a gun?
I please don't bring it up. I don't want to think about it too much.
Okay.
If anyone else has seen the Revenant, you can back me up on this. It's a pretty disturbing movie.
But Australia
He
still has
deserved the
worst.
Oscar. Even if he wasn't actually attacked by a bear, the kind of things that he must have gone through to make it feel like he was. I'm still suffering.
I heard such a brilliant. I saw a brilliant meme the other day. It said, "Imagine one day you're walking in the shopping mall and you're just getting your groceries, and then someone shouts 'cut,' and you're actually Gary Oldman. That's how good of an actor he is."
Okay, that's very good. In Australia, the poisonous spiders, says Ricky, and venomous snakes are in the bush away from us, where we don't see them. Well, most of them.
Have you seen those clouds of spiders? They basically spin
no.
each other into a web that floats on the breeze, and they fly and then descend.
So you could be in your garden watering your pot plants,
and the spiders
a
descend.
spider cloud could descend on you, and then they all crawl all over you.
No, so I can handle snakes, no problem, but spiders,
horrific.
not a chance.
Yeah, bears and anacondas. Rebellious Ruth says, Revenant kept me up for nights.
There are anacondas in Revenant as well. So
No. But listen, those were terrible movies. Those were those J-Lo movies. J-Lo was in Anaconda, right? Yes. J-Lo, the great actress.
Yeah.
She was in Anaconda. What a pile of shit. But at least they made the snakes really, really big.
Yeah.
I think it eventually just became so ridiculous because the snakes couldn't even fit in the Amazon River.
But it's not the size that counts, Gareth.
That's what they say.
I mean,
Carl says Leo tried to fight that bear with his bare hands, so it's weird. It wasn't a fair fight.
Okay, yeah. Well, actually, that is pretty fair.
No. This thing this thing had a bloodlust.
I don't know. I feel like a gun versus just paws is not fair.
So you bring up guns. This relates to all of this. Have you heard about this controversy that's going on in America at the moment about Kirsty Noem?
The one who shot a dog.
Yes. Okay, so she is a potential vice presidential pick for Donald Trump. Okay. Governor of, I think, South Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where bears are from.
Well, there's North and South Dakota. I don't know why they need to be two Dakotas because they're the same. There's nothing going on there. Anyway.
Deserts.
Yeah. And I mean, there's no one in Dakota. It's like both of them, put them together, you got like 15 people. Anyway, she's the governor. Okay. And she lives on this like ranch and she's got dogs and wild animals and farm animals and all kinds of things. And she uses her dogs to go hunting because she shoots vermin, you know? I'm going to go out and kill myself some vermin. Anyway, Kirsty Noem, and she's not an unattractive woman. She's a grandma. I heard this in one of her interviews. She's got kids. She's got grandkids. Governor of South Dakota, running for vice president. She writes a book. In the book, now you'd think this is like Politics 101. In the book, there's an entire chapter on her shooting her dog called Cricket. So Cricket apparently made the devastating mistake of ruining her hunt. Like barked or chased the wrong animal or flushed it out of the meadow too soon, or who knows, but it ruined her hunt. And then she says it was like killed a chicken or something. So she took Cricket and she took him to the gravel pit.
Oh my goodness.
The gravel pit. This is a thing Americans do. And she put Cricket in the gravel pit and she just shot him in the head.
Oh my goodness.
This was like a dog that's less than 2 years old. Okay?
I had a follow-up story where she defended herself because she said he was rabid or something.
She's not trying. Listen, she's trying to spin this. Anyway, the book hasn't come out yet, but she's doing all these media interviews. So they've given the media advanced copies, and the media have now read this. That's bad enough. She's now going out defending herself. She's like, well, I want people to know that I am a decisive leader and I don't pass on my responsibilities. I'll shoot any dog you need me to shoot. So that's bad, right? Because now obviously America's reacted. And I don't think
in the correct way.
Well, apart from total psychopaths, everyone should go, people who shoot their own dogs, even if there's a problem. Like I'm aware, I grew up on a farm. Sometimes you have to put down a rabid animal or whatever, but you don't talk about it and write about it and think it's going to get you votes. So she's going around doing all these media interviews. They won't leave it alone because they think it's hilarious. She then, apparently in the same chapter, on the same day, it's called Bad Day to Be a Goat. She's walking back from shooting Cricket in the gravel pit, and she walks past the smelly billy goat who apparently would like harass the children, or
I swear it was Baphomet.
He was like just standing there. This
Oh no, he wasn't. He was sitting on a throne of lies with his rectangle eyes staring at me.
So this billy goat who stank, apparently really smell real bad. She takes him to the gravel pit and shoots him as well. So now there's two bodies, two carcasses from.
I bet you they'll find an ex-husband there as well.
I'm telling you, they better dig up that gravel pit. There's going to be some stuff.
This is like Tiger King.
That's not even enough. This woman clearly hasn't had enough of this, because she ends the book by saying that Joe Biden's dog, who apparently like savaged some secret service agents or whatever, this dog was a problem. Commander is what Joe Biden's Alsatian, I think, that lived at the White House for a while.
Because the dog makes all the decisions for him.
It bit 2 or 3 secret service agents and like barked and growled at some more. She's like, well, if I were there, you know what I would have done? I would have taken Commander around the back and shot him.
Yeah. Take Commander to the gravel pit. Oh, my word.
This is the woman who's...
What a horrific human.
So there is the end of Kirsty Noem's political career. It's done.
Have you ever heard in writing, Save the Cat?
No.
So it comes from the movie Alien.
Yeah.
Where she saves the cat.
Yes.
And that defines her as a hero or heroine.
Yeah.
So in writing, you always need to position your hero to they call it save the cat in inverted commas. Yeah. So save the child.
Not shoot the dog. That's
exactly. That's exactly how you make a villain. Yeah.
Right. So Kirsty Noem, not going to be governor of South Carolina, South Dakota, and she also won't be vice president. It's not going to happen, right?
Wow.
It's just really bad.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Who shoots a puppy, says Jen. She thought it would make her look strong. Yeah, she did. And Carlos says, by the way, on your Enneagram question, the result was excellent. The team figured out how to work with each other and optimize their collaboration.
Well, there you have it.
That even sounds like it was AI generated. Optimized their collaboration. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back in a moment or two. Nathan Rose with us. We're having fun. It's Wednesday morning. Real Network and the Gareth Cliff Show. Back in a minute.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
Okay, I always say there are 2 types of motorcyclists in the world. Those who have fallen and those who are going to fall.
Okay.
Now, once you've fallen and you realize that the tar, or whatever else you fall on, is very, very unforgiving.
And hot.
And it removes bits of your anatomy.
Ouch.
you will begin wearing safety gear. There are a lot of guys that have not had the experience of falling yet, and they think they're invincible. We do see it within our community a lot. Guys wearing Crocs, shorts, and a tank top, and he's barreling down the freeway at 160, and you're like, when this guy falls, he's going to be missing quite a lot of skin.
Ouch. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
We are live Wednesday morning. There's a new schedule, and Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, those are the days that we will get a live show here on the Real Network. If you have any complaints, please direct them to Santa Claus at the North Pole. If you have compliments, you could send them to us. Just send them to me. I'll put my email address at the bottom of the screen just now. If you have any questions or comments, you can drop them in the YouTube. We're always paying attention to those. And if you haven't signed up already, subscribed and liked and all that stuff, I'm not going to harass you about it, but do it at some point during the day today. Lots of cool stuff. Jittery Cursor says, I would love to hear Nathan's parody songs for old time's sake. I think he did one for Mabale and a couple other people too. Yeah, you did. When we started Cliff Central all those years ago.
We did one called Mammary Glands for Leanne.
That's right.
I remember that.
Leanne, about her breasts, and she loved that. In fact, we had a couple. We had a range of those.
Yeah, we had the Ginger song was the first, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a hit. That's probably Lonely Hill State's biggest hit was this.
Lonely Hill State was a very good band. You guys were amazing.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah. You don't get together and do that anymore?
We lost 2 of our members to COVID.
Dead.
No. They just moved to Cape Town.
Oh, okay. I thought they were dead.
No.
Okay. You see, COVID really didn't kill that many people.
No. But it made a lot of semigration happen. So yeah, there's just 2 of us now. So we go by the name.
DA?
Huh?
Are they in Cape Town? Are they voting DA?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what happens there. Yeah.
I mean, look, they've got electricity there. They got running water. It's quite amazing.
That is quite cool. I've been there a couple of times, and I've seen it for myself. Their roads are really good.
Yeah.
They have
even
buses
have solar
that run
powered
on
traffic
time.
lights.
Solar panel traffic lights. I
Amazing.
mean, we don't even have traffic lights in Joburg.
They tried
Every
it in
traffic
Joburg, but
lights
they
have
stole
always
the
stopped.
solar panels, I think. So, yeah. Oh, wow.
All right. A couple of questions here. This is interesting. What is Eating Gilbert Grape wasn't that
brilliant?
That was also a Leo DiCaprio award, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because he played the
Johnny
the
Depp
Todd
and him.
brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that.
Well, yeah, because they often say in relation to that movie, since you brought up the Save the Cat, there's another bit of movie trivia that is where someone said you never go full retard if you're an actor.
I'm pretty sure that was Ben Stiller. Oh, no, it was Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
You
who said
never
that,
go full, which you never go full retard.
which is ironic with him in blackface.
Correct.
Yeah,
That movie would not be made today.
Sure.
Right.
But what a genius movie, actually.
So
Brilliant.
I did a very interesting interview. We'll be playing it out on Friday with David Walliams from Little Britain.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, he's written a whole bunch of kids' books, and they are selling like hotcakes. Everybody's reading them. I've got 2 little nephews who are just loving his books. There's one called Gangster Granny.
Yeah, he's like the new Roald Dahl.
He's the
It's
new
amazing.
Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
And I interviewed him, I think last week, and we'll be playing it out on Friday. And he's coming to South Africa. He'll
Amazing.
apparently be here next week. But we got into talking about Little Britain and how that would never be made today.
Sure.
You know, I remember when that show came out, there was this one sketch they did where they had this little white guy and then these 2 enormous women. One was big and fat and black. One was big and fat and white. And they had like they were wearing these essentially
Bubbles de beer?
That's right.
Yeah.
They were wearing like these sumo suits effectively, but with horrible long tits and just really bad.
All the dimples. As
Yeah.
well.
It was
lovely.
like the biggest fat suits you could get. And it was Bubbles de Vere and Desiree. Okay. Desiree Brown, I think was her name. So they had these 2, and I used that picture of this thin white guy and these 2, really big women, one black and one white, as my profile picture on Facebook. But Facebook doesn't know, or the people who were complaining didn't know, that these were suits, that these weren't really women. And I said it was Leanne and Mabali who were on the show with me, right? And I said, this is my profile picture. I lost my Facebook account.
Oh my
So I
word.
told him about this. He's like, yeah, you deserve that. It's like, what's happened to you? You used to be fun.
Do you remember the sketch they did with the racist old lady?
Yes, he would
So
vomit.
She would taste the jam squares, and she'd
She'd
like,
go, oh, what
that's
wonderful
lovely.
jam squares. Yeah.
And then, who made that? Oh, that was made by Rankupash Ramasamy. And then just vomit
She
everywhere.
just starts throwing up.
It's so crazy.
Oh, what a great show. All right. So Nathan Rose with us today, and we're spending some time just talking nonsense. Just by the way, we were talking before the break about Kirsty Noem, who's just had the worst vice presidential candidature in history because she just spent her entire book shooting animals and talking about how she wants to shoot more animals. This bloodlust, this desire to kill.
They've actually introduced her as a villain in Paw Patrol.
I'm pretty sure she's not going to make it onto the list of most loved Americans.
Sure.
But there's another thing that she said in her book, which I found interesting. And this is all coming out this week. She talked about bad day to be a goat, bad month to be Kirsty Noem. Apparently, she also lied about meeting Kim Jong-un.
Oh, wow.
She's like, I met Kim Jong-un. And this is in the first draft of the book. She's now gone back and changed it because people found out she never met him. She's like, I stood up to that little dictator. Meanwhile, she's never met the guy.
Wow.
And now in all of her interviews, can you imagine what a disaster this is? Like, her PR person must be the worst PR person in the world. First of all, to say to
Just give up.
talk about shooting animals. And second of all, lie about meeting certain world leaders. And then when she goes on important American TV talk shows and she's asked direct questions like, did you meet Kim Jong-un? You must hear the answers.
I sure did. I dragged him straight to the gravel pit along with my PR agent when she told me I couldn't write about shooting the animals. Oh, my word.
She should shoot her. That's who she should take to the gravel pit, is that PR person or her ghostwriter. She's blaming her ghostwriter too. Like, okay.
ChatGPT.
But she did the audiobook. Okay, so she read her own book as an audiobook. While reading it,
flags.
she didn't go, maybe I should take out that lie about meeting Kim Jong-un.
Or the part where I shot cricket in the head.
Oh, yeah. Cricket and the billy goat and how I want to shoot Joe Biden's. That's how she ends the book, by the way. I mean, you could not have a more disastrous entry into public life on the national stage.
Wow.
What an absolute mess this woman is. You know, when people say, oh, you don't have enough of a go at Republicans, just listen to this show again on repeat a couple of times. I don't think we've ever spent this much time talking about any Democrat in America's campaign. So there we go. All right. One or two other things that are in the news that we need to talk about this morning. And by the way, we've got a guest popping in just now. He has written a book called, what is it? How to brackets, unfuck a country. Yes, his name is Roy Haverman. He's going to be with us, and he's going to talk to us about all the ideas he has of how we could fix South Africa. Hold it up so it looks pretty. There we go. There's Nathan with the book. There. Isn't that nice?
Beautiful.
That's great. Okay, so we'll talk to him about his book. But he's basically going to tell us about the 6 E's that he reckons we can fix.
Sure, that's a lot of E.
Yeah, if we get...
I wouldn't do more than one.
Yeah, you're really going to have a very rough festival if you do more than one.
That would fix the country, though. I'm not
Oh,
gonna
you
lie.
think? You think it would make everyone happy?
Drop 6E? Yeah.
Well, apparently we were talking about AI earlier. A Maryland high school athletic director is accused of using AI to create a fake audio recording of his principal making racist and anti-Semitic remarks.
Oh, my word.
The recording spread online and caused significant disruption at the school, the principal being temporarily removed from his position, facing harassment. Investigators believe the athletic director created the deep fake to retaliate against the principal, who was investigating him for possible financial misconduct. Okay, so let me explain the story. This guy who's like the sports guy, he's the sports coach at the school.
The jock.
Okay, so first of all, the fact that he can even figure out AI is pretty good.
He peaked in high school.
Yeah, most sports PE teachers at school, the athletic director is what they call him. These are not the runaway academic duck scholar types, right?
Yeah.
This guy finds an AI version of the principal's voice. He makes it. He obviously recorded
Probably used Revoicer.
that one that we were talking about this morning. And then he makes this really obvious thing where this guy's like, real N-word, and the Jews. And he's like saying all these things, which, I mean, I don't know this principal, but I'm pretty sure that if you're a principal and you are in a meeting with your staff, you wouldn't use language like that in any place.
He might talk about the fact that he shot his dog once, but
he
wouldn't drop
he's
the
cursed,
N-word.
but no, I mean, everybody knows that that's the most disgraceful and toxic thing you can do. You will be canceled these days. So this guy makes this fake recording, this AI version. It took the police about a week to figure it out. But they figured that this guy had actually just done it because the principal was actually investigating him for stealing money.
Sure.
So this is going to happen more and more. Just get ready for deep fake hoaxes.
Yeah. Can you imagine what that is like on the international political scale, though? Like having Putin giving an address where he says, yep, we're going to bomb America or whatever, you know? Sure. Very scary times.
So I just think we've all got to get ready because we've already seen like non-deep fake versions of this, like Jussie Smollett. You remember him?
Yeah.
The guy who faked his own like harassment and attack by 2 MAGA hat wearing white guys, turned out to be 2 Nigerians he'd hired to like make it look like he was roughed up. Nonsense. It was such nonsense.
One of my favorite stories.
It's such a great story, right? Because it's so obviously bullshit. But anyway, it took us a while to figure out that he was making it up.
Yeah.
And he stuck to his story even after that. He was like, no, it really happened. So I suppose when you're that deep in a lie, it's very difficult to climb out. But now with AI, we're going to have even worse situations to try and investigate here.
Can you imagine
to figure out whether it's true or not? The recording.
Can you imagine proof in crimes?
Oh boy!
You know, when you can literally use Sora to generate the crime happening with the person doing it,
or you can generate some video of you on closed circuit television, sitting at home watching TV.
Yeah, there's my alibi.
There's my alibi. I'm at home. I'm telling you, this police are going to have to be really sharp to catch these people out.
Sure, we're going to have to get some of those.
Did you know that May 8th today is the World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day?
I didn't.
No, neither did I. And you don't have to worry about that ever again.
What is the Red Crescent?
Well, okay. So the Red Cross and Red Crescent are basically, they give
they do aid,
medical care and aid and food, and they look after people who are in war zones. refugees, that kind of thing. So they do
Well,
quite
that's
good work.
nice. Did you hear in Congo?
And the
2
Red Cross
refugee
is
camps were
Christian
bombed.
backed. The Red Crescent is Muslim backed.
Oh, and when do they fight?
Well, no, they don't fight,
I'm
but
joking.
they, like you'd rather have the Red Crescent go into Afghanistan than the Red
Right, yeah,
Cross.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's proselytize about Jesus in Afghanistan. It's not going to go well.
But did you hear about? So in Congo they're at war, and
Always, constantly.
but they recently bombed 2 refugee camps and killed about 12 people.
Horrible.
Yeah, this is horrific. So go Red Cross and Red Crescent.
Yeah, these are the guys who'll go in and
the Red
help.
Star of David. Does that exist?
No,
Oh.
but there is a theme this year which is focused on the importance of their emblems in protecting people in need during crisis. The organization is committed to those who need help the most. Red Cross and Red Crescent are often the first to respond to disasters and conflicts. Their volunteers provide life-saving skills and a beacon of hope in a dark time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so a good idea to take a minute to honor the people of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent. And I suppose you could throw in like Médecins Sans Frontières, the Doctors Without Borders, good people in this world who do good things. I don't do good things by comparison. I'm not shooting dogs in a gravel pit, but I'm not as good a person as these people who will go into a war zone.
You're a voice for the voiceless.
I don't know so much.
You are.
These people will go into a war zone and help with food, with medical aid, with need, with children who've lost their parents, all kinds of things. They'll get involved. I mean, these are really good people. I often think, where do you think on the Enneagram these people would come in? Helper?
Yeah, probably a 2.
Number 2, a helper. It's amazing.
Have you ever
We
heard
need
of
people like
Have
that.
you heard of Ikigai?
Ikigai is the Japanese art of fixing broken things.
Close. It's the reason for being.
Oh,
So-
hang on. Yes. I was confusing that with something else where
You think of the gold?
where they mend things with
Yes,
gold.
yeah.
Ikigai, reason for being, but there's more to it.
Yes.
There's a really beautiful definition which you have not given. Yours is way too simplistic.
Reason for being.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
heard someone.
I thought that was quite beautiful.
No, I heard someone describe it much more.
Well, sorry.
Much more beautifully.
Tamas.
No, really,
Japanese
there was-
is a little thin.
Ikigai is your purpose, right?
Hmm.
It's there's a whole description of this which I must have read it just recently.
4 aspects of it. So it's
Go
what you
on.
love doing, what you're good at doing, what people will pay for, and then what the world needs. And finding the balance between those 4 pillars is your Ikigai.
Now that's
So,
better. You could have started with that.
Yeah. Well, I thought you knew because you were so quick to jump into
I didn't. I thought it was the fixing of broken things. But that's lovely.
using gold, which
So
is
if-
actually also beautiful, which
So,
means
sure, but if you can find so where you have all 4 of those overlap is where you should be.
yes, yeah. And it's hard to do actually.
So what you love, what you're good at,
Yeah.
what people will pay you for,
And
and what the world needs.
Yeah.
Damn.
So if you do what you love and what the world needs, it's a mission. So it's more like just doing good.
Hmm.
But you're not necessarily being paid for it, and you're not necessarily good at it.
Okay. Right.
So yeah, so it's find balance in that thing. It's quite a beautiful thing to like just find those 4 things. Like just think,
I think it's amazing.
as you said, people like
Here we
love
go,
thinking of-
and suddenly we're back to the Enneagram.
yeah.
But I
there
mean,
you
this is good stuff, right? And I like the way that there's a Japanese word for it. I must just not confuse
There's
it
a
with
Japanese
fixing
word
things.
for everything.
Don't know. Is there?
Pretty much. They always have these great words.
Ikigai is how my ex describes me, says Carl. Mapelo says, how do we still have buildings that just collapse out of the blue in 2024 like that one in George? I don't know if you saw this, but it was all over the news yesterday. Apparently the Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Windy, was talking about it. And this building was structurally unsound, collapsed. I don't know if any people were hurt or killed, but we've got like a lot of dodgy looking buildings in Joburg. And there was that Umsindiso building, I think it is, that was investigated by Judge Kampepe just recently. Also, total disaster. I mean, there was that other story not so long ago of the building that no one knows who owns it, but everyone who was in it was paying rent to some gangster.
Sure.
And when part of it caught fire, some people couldn't get out because the gangster locks them in.
But that was happening a lot a few months ago. There were a lot of burning buildings.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to get rid of squatters in the
It's just
least
horrific.
humane.
I mean, listen,
in the gnome way of doing things.
apparently, if you go to some really dangerous countries, this is something I only heard the other day, and I thought it was fascinating. You must never take the top floor.
The penthouse.
Yeah, you must never take the top floor, even the top floors of a building. You should always be like 1 floor up, maximum 2 floors up, so that you can get out if the building is hijacked or catches fire
Sure.
or this. Yeah, so you got to think about these things if you go to dangerous countries.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sure. So the CEOs are
they
opting
put
to
them
have
on the
their...
first floor. So yeah, you would think, oh well, give me the top floor. That's the one with the best view. Or you'd think it was the safest, but it isn't.
So how do you feel being on the top floor here?
Well, it's not a very high building. Plus, I know where the stairs are. And we've got this cool balcony set up, which I could Spider-Man down easily. if I
Okay,
needed
cool.
to.
Yeah,
Don't you think?
I think you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, your upper body strength is looking
Sure.
incredible.
Have you ever planned like escape routes as you walk into a room or a building?
Never escape routes, but I plan crime a lot. I don't know what. Like whenever I go into a place with high security, so like a jewelry store or something, I always think like, how would I do it? I don't know why that is.
No,
It's just
I
the
walk
criminal in
into
me.
especially places where there are a lot of people, like crowded places. If I'm emceeing an event or whatever, and I'm like, where are the fire escapes? Not because I think something terrible is going to happen, but wherever there's a lot of people, that increases the chances that something can go wrong.
Do you choose your table based on like
Yeah.
being able to see
Oh, definitely. And
exits and entrances?
I
and
have
things?
this inbuilt thing where whenever I walk into a restaurant or a bar or whatever, I always sit facing the entrance, always,
Interesting,
so I can see who's coming in.
right?
I mean, you'd think I was like dodgy because I do this stuff, but it's pure habit.
Just an assassin, maybe.
I don't know. I for some reason I like to face the door. I like to have my back against a wall so shit doesn't happen behind me.
You were Abraham Lincoln in a past life,
May-
weren't you?
Maybe just check this out in your Enneagram, see what it means. But I do these things almost automatically. It's a weird thing. I like being aware of my surroundings. I like to know
But
where
isn't
the
that
exits are.
That's a very South African thing, actually.
It doesn't come from a fear or a safety. I think it's just awareness,
Is it
situational
not
awareness.
even a subconscious safety?
No, and it's not like I'm going to be freaked out if I sit in a different position. But
Okay.
if you and I go and sit down in a restaurant and there's a wall, I will put my back to the wall usually.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a guy called Rupert Sheldrake?
No.
You once mocked me about a book I was reading called The Science Delusion. But he's a scientist, but and he's really passionate about people keep on exploring things, you know. And he went into he did experiments onto how to know if someone is looking at you without seeing it.
Yeah.
Like, can you feel someone watching you from like behind? So,
And can you?
apparently, according to his studies, you can.
Oh.
So it's sort of a lost sense, I guess. I don't know.
I think you get the feeling sometimes when you're being watched. I always feel like somebody's watching me, right?
Yeah, there was a Jim Larson cartoon about. There was I can't remember the name of the phobia, but it was the fear that a duck somewhere is watching you.
Yes. It's terrifying. There's a name for that.
That a duck is watching.
Yes, there's an actual. I'll look it up
an
for you right
actual
now.
phobia?
Yeah.
I've
Fear
never
of
had that
ducks
fear.
watching you.
Even if a duck was watching me, I don't think I'd be scared of it.
Look at this. You're going to shit yourself. There's an actual anatideophobia. Anatideophobia is commonly understood as the fear somewhere in the world at some time a duck may be watching you. That's for real. Those who experience this fear are not necessarily worried that the duck may approach or attack them, but rather are afraid of being watched or tracked by the duck while they're going about their business.
What a ridiculous phobia. That's got to be rare, huh?
Anatideophobia. But people have it.
Yeah, but how many people can have that?
Do you know how I know about this? Because
Jim
the
Larson.
Osbournes, Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon and the kids, Jack and
The other one.
the other one,
Yeah.
they were talking about it.
Okay.
in like a family podcast or something they're doing. And Ozzy's like, "Oh, fucking duck. We've been watched by a duck.
I wouldn't want a duck to be watching me.
Who the fuck is scared of that?" It's great. I love those people. The Osbournes were the original Kardashians. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
They did that stuff before it was not cool.
I've never watched a Kardashian do anything.
No, and you don't need to, trust me. All right, well, we're going to talk to Roy in just a moment or two, find out about how we can fix this country, which is very, very exciting.
Apparently this book will make you smarter, says Carol Payton.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's very good.
Thanks, Carol.
Let me just see what Carol Payton says. She says it'll make you smarter.
Yeah.
And Tito Mboweni wrote the forward, which is good.
He also signed our money at some stage.
He was our governor of the Reserve Bank. That's correct. Now, Tito Mboweni is more well known for the fact that he does recipes on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
He loves to cook. That's what he does. Your studio is giving PBD broadcast look. What is that? I don't know what that is, Khomotso. Help me with
PPD.
that. PBD, yeah. Not sure what that is. Here in Durban, I always walk around with a German Shepherd. I don't trust these people, says Mapelo. Don't worry. You just got to beware of Kirsty Noem.
Yeah.
Because she will shoot your
In the
dog. She does
gravel
not
pit.
give a damn about your dog. All right. Let me know, James, when we've got Dr. Roy Haverman on, because I want to talk to him about this book. We've got Nathan Rowe in the studio this morning, and he is with us to talk about all kinds of things. Discussed a bunch of interesting stuff this morning already.
Yep.
Apparently, you brought up Japan, so here's something interesting for you. For the first time ever, a private company has captured a close-up photo of a piece of space debris. The mission by Astroscale involved the spacecraft skillfully maneuvering near an old rocket that has been orbiting Earth since 2009. The photo isn't just a cool space picture, it's a crucial first step towards tackling the growing problem of space junk. You know that there's so much...
What does that got to do with Japan?
Okay, I'll tell you now. So there are 9,000 tons of debris circling the planet.
Jeepers.
And that includes defunct satellites, rocket parts, even flecks of paint, all kinds of shit. We throw all kinds of stuff into space.
Gold as well.
The space junk can smash into operational spacecraft, pose a threat to people on Earth if it falls back down, which it might do. And the success of this mission paves the way for future efforts to remove all the space junk. This could involve capturing debris like the one photographed, or even finding ways to destroy it safely. And Japan is the first country. Obviously, they're the most conscientious.
Yeah.
They
Cleanest.
We need to clean up space.
Yeah.
I love that about Japan. I want to give them all the
Have
credit.
you been?
No,
I'm
desperate
dying to go as well.
Yeah, me too.
Oh.
Especially after you told us Ikigai.
Have you watched Shogun?
Yes, I remember watching Shogun.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm dying to watch.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if we can get Roy on, talk about the book. Just quickly, Carl says, I bet the Japanese are cleaning it up like they clean up change rooms when they compete in tournaments. So every time Japan goes to the Olympics or whatever else, they always have the most immaculate change rooms. When they go to sports events at stadia, they clean up after them.
Yeah.
Famously, they did that in the Rugby World Cup last year.
Yeah.
Such tidy, conscientious people.
I heard as well that when you use a train, sometimes you have to stop and wait for these old ladies because they employ like elderly people that can't get jobs anymore. And these old ladies come and they clean the whole train before you get on. And apparently there's so much respect for these women. It's not like the cleaning staff. It's like, thank you for, they're so respectful. I love that.
They ritualize stuff that the rest of us just don't pay any attention to.
But the Japanese.
I know we're stereotyping here. Obviously, there are bound to be some really shitty Japanese
there's a lot of perverts.
People,
you know that in Japan, cell phone manufacturers won't turn off the camera sound because there's so many people just taking photos of you all the time.
Creeps.
So yeah.
All right,
that side.
Let's fix our country. So we are here to talk to Roy Haverman. He's written this book, which is called How to Fix or Unfuck the Country. I love it. 6 Things to Reboot South Africa. As I mentioned, forward by none other than Tito Mboweni. And here he is. Let's talk to him. Hey, Roy, how are you?
Good morning, Gareth, and thanks very much for having me. I'm well, thanks. How are you doing?
Nathan's here as well, and well done on the book.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good job. Okay, so you've basically gone into a whole lot of things that I think fairly obvious things for South Africans. We know what our problems are because God knows we deal with them every day, right? But what you've done is you've made it simple. you've said there are 6 places that we need to focus on. And I love this because we don't have the ability, the focus to be able to sit and talk about things for more than 15 minutes in this country without people being distracted or watching sport or some cartoon on TV or going on their phones and doom scrolling. So what you've done is you've said 6 things, right? ESCOM, education, the environment, exports, equality, and an ethical and effective state. So ESCOM, what do we need to say here, Roy?
Pretty obvious, Gareth. What we need to do is we need to get private sector generation onto the grid as quickly as possible. We need...
Yeah. It's frozen? Have we lost Roy?
Maybe he's just thinking. I blame ESCOM.
I think it probably is ESCOM. That would be hilarious, right? If it was was because he's suddenly had to go into load shedding and reboot his internet. See if you can get him back on, guys. Just by the way, Matthew says, send all the junk to Mars like the OnlyFans girls. Hey, those OnlyFans girls are doing everyone a service. Don't you be mean to them. You don't know what it's like to be a I don't
only
know,
have fans.
22-year-old who's trying to pay her way through college. How would you do it, Matthew? Very mean.
Now, student debt is a real thing.
Damn right. Japan is great at almost everything except having sex, says Vyasan. That is true. We've got a major problem there. You got him? Oh, okay. It was his network. Thank you, James. See, normally at this point, I'd bring out the shambok.
Roy really knows how to highlight a point, though, I have to say, you know. The ESCOM...
He's making a very poetic statement
sure.
by actually canning his internet.
I can't wait to see what he does for environment.
Environment, he's just going to chop down a tree.
Shoot a dog in the gravel pit.
So I agree with this point Vyasan's making about Japan and the Japanese being good at everything except sex. They're trying everything they can to get people to have children. But apparently one of the big problems, and this is something new I discovered, that was old info, but the new info is that the men are so off-putting. They ask Japanese women, why won't you have sex with Japanese men?
Sure.
They're like, I'm not turned on by him at all.
Wow.
Okay, let's go to Roy. We got him back. From the sublime to the ridiculous. So Roy, you were just telling us about ESCOM, sorry, and we got cut off. I think you had load shedding.
Something like that, yeah.
Cool. So you were saying ESCOM.
Yes. So what we need to do is obviously bring more renewables onto the grid, more private sector generation capacity. As we all know, we need to accelerate the independent power projects. Those have been delayed from time to time, and there's a great report out by Meridian Economics highlighting that if we hadn't stopped that program, then we probably wouldn't have had load shedding at the moment. And we all know why that program was stopped, and that was because the Guptas got hold of the CEO of ESCOM of the time, and they delayed the bring on of renewables onto the grid. And so that's why we have load shedding, which is what I argue in the book. And so I guess it's a relatively simple answer, but we just need to do it.
But it's a relatively simple question to solve. I mean, I don't think that that's a difficult thing. And I think most South Africans realize that that's number one. Once we've sorted that out, everything else will get easier, right? So education is way more complicated. And we spend more on education than any other country in the world proportionally in our budget.
Sure.
But we get these shocking results. I was talking to Paddy Lehotla, who's the former statistician general the other day. I interviewed him, and I learned something new. I didn't know this before. Black graduates have decreased since 1994. The total number of black graduates, it's gone down. You would think that was one area that the government could have done a little bit better in, but proportionally, again, black graduates have gone down. They may be more in number, but the proportion has gone down. This is devastating. Our government's track record on education is appalling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I quote two big sort of global tests. The one is called PILS and the other one is called TIMS, and essentially the one assesses reading and the other one assesses progress in mathematics. And we do terribly on both of them. And the worst is that we do worse than Kenya, for example, which actually is one of the things I bring out in the book as a really good example of a country that's done fantastic things in terms of improving learning outcomes. And one of the things that they've done is really have this relentless focus on reading. And a really interesting thing that they do is they give their teachers iPads, and they basically follow a script on the iPad. This is one thing that, how you bring technology into classrooms. And then they also, the other thing that they do, which many other countries do that we don't do, is make sure that the teachers actually pitch up for classes. That's like relatively easy to do in the modern world. You can use cell phone technology that the teacher has to check in, or you can just take a register for them in the morning. But there's been a huge pushback from that, obviously from the teachers union, and even the idea of linking pay to whether or not you come to work and do your teaching has been very controversial with the unions. So, I mean, I completely agree with you. Education is quite difficult, but there are very small things we can do to push the system kind of forward.
I mean, it's almost like a joke. Teachers just need to pitch. Like the first rule of success is showing up.
And you just need Eskom to be able to power the iPads.
But I do like this because these are simple solutions to problems that often people like to make look complicated so that they can justify the fact that they haven't done anything about them. And politicians especially are good at that, right, Roy?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't suggest this is like the answer to everything. I kind of tried, someone asked me the other day, and I was actually, there's a really nice way of putting it. It's like, what would you do in the first year or two? So this is not trying to fix the problems. So I certainly wouldn't suggest that any of the ideas in the education chapter would fix this huge complex problem. But it's just, what would you do in the first year or two or three? So the first year, maybe what you do is you make sure the teachers pitch up, do a register. That's sort of a thing that you could start doing just to kind of turn the ship and make it go in the right direction.
Roy, don't worry. I'm not looking for a fight with you. I'm not going to start saying to you, oh, you're not going to solve all the problems. I would rather have 20 Roy Havermans who are trying to solve problems than another 50 miserable South Africans who complain about these things at Braai's. That's one thing we're very good at in this country is moaning. I like the fact that you're offering actual solutions. So that's why we wanted to have you on. So, okay, let's move on from education, because I also don't think that that's entirely the simplest problem. How about the environment? And why do you think the environment is an element of success?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we all know that the world is heating up at the moment. And, even in South Africa, if we look at the data over like 30, 40, 50 years, temperatures are going up. I do make the point that, we're a small country in a big world, and we're not the biggest emitter. A lot of the emissions are probably coming from the US and China. So what we need to focus on is we do need to bring down our carbon emissions, but I think it's more important to deal with climate change, adaptation, and mitigation. So deal with the effects of this. I talk about things that the government is already doing, which is the carbon tax. What has happened in the environment? Well, the idea there is it makes it more expensive for when companies emit carbon, then they pay a tax on it. And that helps, you can use that money to help deal with the effects of climate change. So
you really think
some
countries would use that money for that?
I would hope so, but I think one of the big problems is obviously the money is not going to where it's needed.
No, and also, why would you want to hand on the costs of all of this to the consumer? Because that's what's going to happen. Companies that pay a carbon tax are just going to increase their prices, so the average South African life just gets more expensive.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things is exactly that, is to make things that produce carbon more expensive compared to things that don't produce carbon. So a really good example is actually electricity, where for a long time it's been much cheaper to produce coal-based electricity. And one of the things has been a carbon tax on the production of electricity. It also makes electric vehicles cheaper than petrol vehicles, because for a long time they've been cheaper. So it's about kind of using system to
See,
change how people
I got
behave.
excited when you said environment because I thought clean it up is a good start. We live in a filthy country where people litter all over the place and it's a mess, and we don't look after our rivers and our oceans. There's sewage flowing into them. That upsets me enormously. But climate change is a first world problem, and we are such a small speck of dust on the global carbon footprint that I don't think this is an urgent one. So I don't know. It's not my book. It's your book, but I would have left that chapter out. How about...
what about that Canadian lady that suffered from climate change?
Yes. So I don't know if you saw this. I put it on my Instagram yesterday. Enormous, large woman who said that she was sick because of climate change, and the Canadian authorities agreed she's dying of climate change. And I said, yeah, it's because she's so enormous that she has her own gravity and weather, and she's like a planet. But I don't think that was very accurate to blame climate change for that. But let's look at the next one. I like what you're doing here, Roy. So what about equality?
Yes, equality is complicated in this country. I mean, I think one of the things that we really need to understand, and I use an old idea in economics called the Kuznets curve, which says that as you start growing, sometimes countries become less equal, and what you need to do is rather deal with the problem of equality almost at source. And there, the education system is one of the big problems, right? If you are poor, particularly if you're poor, black, and female, you often end up in very bad schooling system, and you kind of need to deal with sort of equality issues from at the very beginning. So I talk about the difference between equality of outcomes versus sort of equality of inputs, and just realizing that, we need to focus more on getting people into jobs necessarily, because that also will drive substantially better in equality outcomes.
Sorry, are you saying that equality of outcome is what you're looking for, or equality of input?
Equality of input, definitely.
Okay, yeah, I think that's probably sensible. I think we've got to give everybody a chance. And again, as you said, that goes back to education, but we have to grow the economy so there are more jobs.
Exactly. So if people aren't getting a chance, the same kind of chance, then obviously it's unsurprising that people then end up unequal. I must say I had very good chances in my youth, and things have gone relatively well, but for other people, they don't have those opportunities. So it's more about equality of opportunity rather than equality of outcome. And that really goes back to the education system. I think it's extraordinary how different the opportunities are that people get from education.
Well, you talk about exports, and I suppose another E you could have used there instead is probably the economy in general. And we just spoke about economic growth. But exports, to focus on that particularly, what do you think our strength could be from a potential weakness?
So the first problem is obviously that things are just not going through the ports. For a variety, our ports have sort of stopped functioning. So a friend of mine used to be a blueberry farmer, and what has happened is that you just can't get blueberries out from Cape Town port. That's a very simple example, but we know that people that run mining companies can't get their mining stuff out. And then I look around at what other countries have done, and what they often do is they concession out their ports and allow the ports to be operated by huge companies that work around the world. And actually, I use the example of Mozambique, where the Mozambican government has gone into a 50-50 partnership with a group called Corneldo, which is a Dutch port company. And that's had huge implications for how many goods can go through the port. Similar kind of thing has happened in China. They used to run their ports themselves. About 10 years ago, particularly in Shanghai, they took a decision to start concessioning the ports and allowing more private sector operators in the port, and that had incredible effects actually on the operations of the ports. And then around Africa, the same thing's happening. I was in Kenya a few years ago, and there's a huge port now being built to the north of Mombasa. Also, completely, the government just allows people to build ports and export.
Listen, I think
why
that's
are our
great.
ports not working Is it just like the teachers where they don't show up for work, or?
Well, Roy can tell you, but
Yeah, that
it's
is
a
part of the
disaster
problem.
administratively, and management is a problem, and the people who are in charge don't actually know what they're doing. It's competence, right? Am I wrong, Roy?
Yeah, competence is a huge part of the problem, and I think a lack of like management. So that core question of, do you pitch up in the morning or do you not pitch up in the morning? Which is sort of
So simple.
Yes.
I wish it was that simple, but I mean, just to get the simple, so the basics right, I think would be a good
Yeah.
start.
It's like, in order to live your life, get out of bed. It's the almost.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah, I
baby
was looking
steps,
at
everybody.
I was
Wake
looking at
up.
exclusive
Started
books
from the bottom.
with my book, and there's this book out saying make your bed every morning, or something. Steps for success. Maybe that's
Great.
what I should have called my
Jordan
book.
Peterson.
Make your bed
Yeah,
every
I
morning.
think that's very, very sharp. Okay, the last one of your E's, your 6 E's, is ethical and effective state. So this is a lot more complicated than the other ones, because I don't think our politicians know what being ethical means. And as for effective, I watched Concerned Citizen, who's this brilliant woman who puts out videos every week on the government, how much they cost us. 1.3 billion rand we spend on cabinet ministers. That's not even counting the deputy ministers. And what do we get from them? Effectiveness, 0. Ethics, 0. These are the people who we should address this chapter to, don't you think?
Yes, I mean, I completely agree with you. Although, I mean, I think we sometimes just think our politicians are unethical. I happened to be in Stellenbosch this morning, and I can tell you everybody's quite angry with, still angry with Marcus Jooste. There's this deep lack of ethics that has really, I think, pervaded the country. It's almost like something has happened how we think as a country culturally. We've sort of lost our ability to even, I think, have shame about stealing. I don't know what it is. And it's a very complicated problem. And, actually, one of the really great books that I read was, in part of my research for this book, was a book by Brian Klaas called Corruptible. And he talks about how culturally what starts to happen with countries is that they become less and less ethical because it kind of becomes okay. And you kind of have to think about fixing that problem almost at source. Obviously, the first thing you need to do is you need to punish people for being unethical, and I don't think we do enough of that. So you need to not only have rules, we've got great laws in this country. We've got an anti-corruption act and an anti-money laundering act and all these sorts of things, but we've had no convictions for many of those things.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
So-
more. We've got a constitution that requires people to be accountable. I interviewed Judge Johan Krichler yesterday, who was one of our first constitutional court judges. And he was saying, it's all there. It just needs to be implemented properly. I mean, otherwise, what do we do, Nathan? We take them down to the gravel pit, right? That's what we need to do.
Maybe that is the answer.
All right. Well, we know who to call. Governor Kirsty Noem.
Yeah.
All right. So why did you decide to write this? Was it just frustration with people moaning and not actually coming up with solutions? Or did you sit there one night and go, I'm going to actually try and solve the problems that the rest of South Africa just doesn't seem to want to solve?
Well, I mean, the worst part of the book is that it is actually a summary of probably what is government policy at the moment. It's not my own ideas. Many of these ideas have come out in almost all the ideas come out in a Treasury document of about 6 years ago.
So you're telling me they already know this stuff, but they're just not doing it.
They haven't
Pretty
shown up
much.
for work.
That's really, now I'm pissed off, because I thought
That's
these were
maybe what I was
brilliant
frustrated
ideas, but
about.
you're
That's why I
telling
tried to
me
write
this
the
actually
book.
comes from Treasury, and they should just damn well do it.
So,
I think as a country, we do like the IPPs and electricity is a really good example, right? It is government policy to have more IPPs on the grid. It is government policy to allow more private sector generation. It is government policy to allow concessioning of the ports, but I don't know what's happening. These things are just not being implemented. And I had a really great discussion at one of the interviews with Judge Dennis Davis, And he made the point that, we just need to hold the politicians accountable for the things that they suggest they should be doing. And have a way of actually using Parliament and the tools that we have to actually just make sure these things are done.
Yeah, orange overalls, I'm telling you. Short of the gravel pit. So how are we going to get them to implement these things, says lovely Lady Lee in the comments. Do you think that there's a chance that we could have any of these ideas executed and that we can hold people accountable?
Yes. I mean, I think, fortunately, the great thing about the book is that I think I'm trying to use the book as a way of showing people what you should hold politicians accountable for. So if they say that they're going to do more IPPs and allow more private sector generation for electricity, then we shouldn't be complacent, and we should encourage them to do what they say they're going to do and hold people accountable, make sure that we use Parliament to actually get these things done. I think, I had a real bit of a big debate with Peter Todd Montolto, who wrote a column a few weeks ago saying, oh, South Africans must just be more patient. And I kind of think maybe the time has come for us to be less patient and not to sort of accept when the lights go out. I think we've sort of become a little bit, load shedding happens and it's okay. We sort of go and make coffee on the gas stove.
Yeah, I think we're like Boermaka plan instead of to hear and no further.
We're almost too resilient.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the problem, yeah.
Enemy.
Our pastors have been spraying doom in our face for too long.
Well, Roy, all I can say is well done on the book. It's called How to Fix a Country, 6 Things to Reboot South Africa. I think we should hand them out for free to government. So maybe we can get some NGO to buy 200 of them, and we just give them to those 200 cabinet ministers that are costing us so much money. But well done on the book. It's terrific. And I see Tito Mboweni wrote the foreword.
Yes. I mean, I used to work for him. I think he pushed a lot of the ideas originally. Certainly we had a long conversation the other day. I think he shares the view that the country has a future. I think we just need to get these things done.
I'm a big fan of Tito Mboweni, and I also liked Trevor Manuel, who you also worked with back in those days. So I'm kind of, there's a part of me that wishes those guys were still at the levers of power in the Treasury and Reserve Bank. I think we had growth, which was commendable at that point. We had also had a president who wasn't busy feathering his own nest or hiding money in a sofa or any of that stuff. So let's hope we can get back to that. It is an election year. So this ultimately is our opportunity to hold these people accountable.
Absolutely.
All right. Very nice to have you on, Roy. Thanks for joining us this morning. That's Roy Haverman and How to Fix a Country. Well, now we know, Nathan.
Yeah, now we know what is actual
life.
Policy already.
Oh, very, very, but this is good stuff. And the fact that it's been sitting there and that they already had these answers, it's to Roy's credit that he dug them out and forced them to actually take notice of this stuff.
Yeah.
But there we go. Lots of fun this morning, and thank you for talking absolute nonsense with me for 2 hours.
We didn't even get into one conspiracy theory, Gareth. I'm
Dude,
disappointed.
I know, but we went to Ikigai.
Yeah, we did.
Enneagrams.
We went deep.
Shooting many animals with Kirsty Noem.
Sure.
Which really is what the book should have been called.
Yeah.
Shooting many animals. And I learned a lot this morning. You also taught me about a bunch of different AI things that I'm going to spend the whole day now playing with.
Brilliant.
Including this one, Suno. I'm going to write an opera.
Write an opera.
Watch me.
Yeah. And
finally, my dreams will come true.
Maybe day 4 and 5 of the week, you could just make musical numbers.
I think that